It is time for a brand new refreshed ONDO price prediction for this bull run because we've had some insane news regarding ONDO and a banking giant we all know, JP Morgan. This news comes on the back of Kinesis, which is JP Morgan's private blockchain network, which means it is not available in the public sense, so you cannot see the transactions that happens within it. And they did a transaction using Chainlink to settle some tokenized assets on the ONDO Finance network, or technically speaking, the omni-chain network known as the ONDO chain. Now, again, this was done in collaboration with Chainlink, and that transferred through with Chainlink's CCIP, and that landed on the ONDO chain, okay? So we do have, I think, some pretty big news here because, as most of you should know, JP Morgan, or more specifically, the current CEO, Jamie Dimon, is very much against crypto and Bitcoin. So, his own company is using cryptocurrencies. So specifically speaking, Kinesis transferred money between two accounts on its private blockchain to settle the purchase of tokenized securities on ONDO's public ledger. Keep in mind, again, the ONDO chain actually isn't public just yet. It was recently announced just a few months ago. So JP Morgan also used Chainlink. So this is some very, very big stuff because if you think about it, guys, we now have proof that one of the, biggest banks in the world, not only that, but one of the biggest anti-crypto banks is actually using ONDO Finance. So imagine what the pro banks are actually doing as well. This is not just another proof of concept, says Sergey, the co-founder of Chainlink. This is the beginning of something big. And again, I want to talk more about this because I do think that it was most definitely hinted at the ONDO Summit. Guys, the writing's on the walls. I've been saying this for months and even years now with some of these projects. The writing is on the walls. Eventually, news catches up like right now. Sergey added that the structure is on track for production. Now, production is a term when software is ready for widespread use. So it's almost here, as they say in the ONDO Summit, okay? What do they say? Wall Street 2.0 is coming. The institutions are coming. And that's what, of course, Sergey is referencing. It's almost here, and it's likely going to happen in this bull run. But JP Morgan's recent venture outside the walled garden, meaning its private network, isn't due to shifts in the political winds or investors' recent enthusiasm for crypto. The executive of Kinesis said, rather, this has been part of JP Morgan's roadmap for years. In fact, her, again, the executive at Kinesis and the co-founder of Chainlink, Sergey, actually met at a conference 2 years ago, and I've been in conversations with them since. You have to understand, guys, at these conferences like the ONDO Summit, when these big institutions meet, especially the executives of these institutions meet and talk, we are seeing kind of like a show. We are seeing what they've already been discussing behind the scenes, likely for months or even years. Okay, we are just kept up to date as more of a formality rather than anything else. That is why on a video I made some months ago, looking at the speakers of the ONDO Summit itself and connecting the dots in terms of how I think that the system will run, I created this. Essentially the topographic view of how ONDO and Chainlink will work with some of these massive multi-trillion or even quadrillion dollar firms in the United States, like the DTCC, for example, like JP Morgan, like BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Wisdom Tree, and so on. And you can see here again, Chainlink was always, in my opinion, and now confirmed, like we just saw recently here, okay, as the sort of connector of these Web 2 applications, okay, kind of like this, into Web 3, while ONDO serves as the front, as the marketplace for people to buy tokenized assets. This is why we saw a pretty sizable instant pump here for the price of ONDO, going from $1 up to $1.10, so about a 10% pump. It's now retraced back down to, well, at least this is saying $1.07, but the price is registering at $1.04. Either way, we'll get to this in a second here, but I don't think it's worthwhile dollar cost averaging or FOMOing into ONDO right now. I think the big unlock here is when the ONDO chain actually launches, okay? So when this product here is available and launches later on this year, they have hinted that it will come later on this year. When it does, we are likely going to have those first 1,000 tokenized assets on the ONDO chain, obviously on ONDO Global Market, so the marketplace itself, which will cause massive price appreciation. Many people have said to me, Kyron, I'm not too sure about buying ONDO because it has no utility. And I've got to say, guys, for this bull run, you don't need utility. You just need, for lack of a better word, raw sex appeal. You need interest in the coin. And that's because retail, people like you and I, buy the coin like we saw with the recent pump here, plus 10%. Instantly, okay? You buy because it's really good news and you want to speculate on that news. It's just like stocks. It is exactly like stocks. Stocks have no utility, just speculation, okay? Maybe apart from governance rights, and that's, of course, all ONDO has right now as well as governance. So get the whole utility fear out of your head because it will make you miss this train. So if you were in the private community and specifically in our trading group, you would have been able to pick up a pretty nice trade. So we do trade these news and announcements pretty regularly. So we picked up a good 92% here. And again, if you do join, links down below, of course, we have a great tiered system that no one else offers in this ecosystem, which is if you trade, we pretty much give you back rewards. We recently had a gentleman actually win an Apple iWatch. Okay, so again, get in there, you get money back no matter what. We are going to help you guys as much as we can make money in this bull run, even if that comes at a cost to us. And I think tokenization is going to be an absolute giant in this bull run. And in my opinion, ONDO and of course Chainlink as well are giants in this area. Take a listen to one of the UBS executives here talking about how these $1 trillion AUM giants are actually looking to pivot into crypto.
Alternative is not just private market, and also hedge fund, commodity, and crypto. Interestingly, recently when I talked to some of the traditional family offices, they were telling me they are now looking at allocation of 5% in crypto. That's the reason why even traditional banks like us, I have to make sure we get our platform ready to take on this opportunity.
And we're seeing this. Look at the growth in RWA products. It is going up exponentially. It is like DeFi in the previous cycle. I think people are just not recognizing that this is probably going to be the first and foremost use case of crypto, period, even in front of gaming, in front of AI, in front of everything else. Don't get confused. Just because this market is relatively small versus the rest doesn't mean it can't grow very quickly. We're seeing the adoption not just in ONDO, but other tokenized platforms and products as well. Like you can see here, Wormhole being used to connect VenX, new tokenized treasury fund here, to multiple different networks. And again, the writing's on the wall, guys. I'm going to keep saying this until I'm black and blue in the face. You can see here, ONDO joined MasterCard's multi-token network, and the keywords they used here was a blockchain that links commercial banks with digital assets that can be transferred securely any minute of any day. So MasterCard's multi-token network is facilitating transactions from institutions in the real world into crypto at any time, all day, every day. And now ONDO sits in the middle of that. And this is just one example of many. PayPal's involved. There's a whole bunch of people involved in ONDO's growth. So I ask you again, is the one factor that limits you to buy this coin utility? And if it is, why? Okay, why do people buy meme coins? Why do people buy any crypto asset in this space? There is not one, maybe apart from Ethereum, maybe at one point because of meme coin Solana. Apart from that, there's not one altcoin, in my opinion, that actually benefits from utility, from price appreciation from utility. Maybe in the future, maybe it might be important, but for this bull run, what sends the price higher is speculation, and speculation comes from massive announcements like this forming over the course of time. So here are some very important levels I see ONDO going to this cycle, and we'll have to tick them off as we get there. First of all, I think $2.50 will be a milestone. That's $8 billion market cap, doubling there to $5, $7.50, $10, $12.50, $15. So basically going up in $2.50 increments, I think, is what I want to be eyeing off personally, and what I'll be bringing you over the coming months and maybe even a year or so. Okay, that's roughly speaking to the very top of $20 here, 1,700%, or basically an 19x from the current price. Okay, now what does the data in our price prediction sheet in the private community tell us? Well, based on data, it's coming up at about $12. okay, which is a 41 billion market cap or 11x. Now, my personal prediction for this coin here is around $20 or a $67 billion market cap. Again, that's roughly speaking about an 18x or so from here. I don't really change my price predictions around all that much because I factor in this sort of stuff happening months ahead of time, okay? I don't like to sort of follow the news and trends for confirmation, while that of course does help. And of course, if negative news comes out, I will definitely reduce my price prediction. But I was factoring in this happening months ago. So again, it's never a good idea to look at a price prediction of like $20 and say, hey, Kyron thinks $20 is where it could go to. I'm going to sell it $20. Absolutely not. I'm not a financial advisor. Matter of fact, I'm not an oracle. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But if all things go well, I think ONDO is one of the very few candidates to go above a 50 billion market cap and even flirt with a 100 billion market cap, which would put the price above $20 for sure. That's a lot of ifs. Anything can happen again. This is just me forecasting because I see real world assets and ONDO being one of the top players in this area, dominating the space. If you have a look at just how well RWA coins have recovered from their highs of $72 billion, now at $62 billion, and as a matter of fact, not really even falling that much. We lost about 10 billion market cap because of the Mantra collapse, but either way, it's done exceptionally well. When you compare this with other major narratives like AI, for example, and AI is a really good comparison here, you'll be amazed at how well it's done, okay? So recently, again, those highs were roughly the same actually at about 70 billion, but it fell a lot more, down to 24 million, and right now it hasn't recovered near as much as RWA coins. That is why I've told people I do think RWA is the next major narrative to do really well like DeFi in 2021. But don't go FOMO buy, use the TWAP to help. The time-weighted average price. I've been asked, Kyron, how do I make this green line like yours? Hit indicators, type in TWAP over here, click time-weighted average price. Yours will look different to this. So what you do is click style, click this here, make sure it's area with breaks, and then change the color to like green and make the transparency 25%. And then with the inputs, I use 6 months because I plan to sell in 6 to 12 months from today, and just make sure source is O plus H plus L plus C divided by 4. And click OK. And it'll come up like this, and you can apply this to any chart, of course. So yes, we are beneath the TWAP. You can see kind of like wicked up and came back down again. And so obviously, given the fact that it's beneath the TWAP, it might be a decent time to dollar cost average, but we are also at an inflated price. So I wouldn't be going too heavy into ONDO right now. So with that being said, guys, again, price prediction of mine is $20 right now, and I do see it going higher. All of this is playing out. What we predicted months ago is happening in real time, and I will continue to break down this information and give you guys my thoughts, unlike anyone else in the space, because you deserve it, all right? Just make sure you pay attention, and when the writing's on the walls, again, it's risk and reward in our favor. I'll talk to you all soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.